Aloha, I'm Felicia Miller Johnson, and I conduct work life video interviews with career professionals that become an all intuitive conversation. Aloha, welcome to another episode of All Intuitive Conversation. And I am happy to connect with Roxanne today. So let's bring Roxanne onto the screen. Aloha, Roxanne.
Aloha, Felicia. How are you?
I am doing well. I am so excited to connect with you. And so we were kind of talking behind the scenes a little bit in the sense of it's been a while since we made this appointment to connect, months actually. And as we were saying, it's all divine timing that when we will connect. But you and I have already had a slight connection because I had your husband, Scott, on the show, and he had recommended that you come on the show as well. How is Scott?
He's doing really well. Thank you
Oh,
for asking. He says
awesome.
hello, by the way.
Awesome. Be sure to tell him I said
I
aloha.
will. I will.
So, with that, I want to take some time to get to know you. And so, the very first question I want to ask you is, do you know what your name means?
I do. It's a Persian name and it means the dawn, the
Yes.
coming of the light.
Yes, exactly. I love the fact that you know the meaning of your name, which was interesting because the whole bright, the sun, the dawning of the light. But then there was also this other connection meaning that they talked about that there was Roxana was the wife of the great Alexander the Great. And I said, of course, because she's the wife of a guest that I have already had. So I was like, of course she is.
Ah.
So I was like, that makes so much sense. So with that, with the dawning, tell me a little bit about your childhood.
Okay. I was born in Hollywood, California.
With all the lights, yes. The sun
That's right.
dawning makes
Right.
sense.
Um, the youngest of three girls, and my mother was a model. And when I came along, she supplemented the family income by doing some modeling jobs. And one day she could not find a babysitter, so she took me with her as a 3-year-old. And it was a commercial for Bare Aspirin for Children. And the casting director liked how she and I interacted. So we got the job together. So that was my very first acting modeling job.
Wow, that makes
And
so
I've been
much
doing
sense.
it ever since. So I have the second longest running career as a fashion model in the industry today.
Wow, second longest.
Hmm.
That's amazing. Because like I said,
Especially
go ahead.
especially in this career of fashion, and models are, typically their career is over like when they're 23 years old. It's remarkable that I've had such good fortune to keep modeling this long, but it's not so much me. I mean, you're laughing. What'd you pull? What
Well,
is
because
that?
so it was the car, but at the very bottom, as you were talking about dreams just come true, and then it was like the good fortune. That's exactly what you said.
Oh my
Hmm.
gosh. Yes, yes.
Hmm.
I am in gratitude of the good fortune, because it's like I was saying, it's not only me, but it's the
Hmm.
society accepting older women, the people with the buying power want to see someone of their own image reflected to them. The art directors are realizing that people 50 and over have the most disposable money, so they want to, showcase and um, show those. I just drew blank.
Like the attributes, the look, like somebody wants to see somebody that looks like them.
Thank you. That's it.
Yeah, it's like, oh, okay. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So yeah, that makes
So I had timing along with, the tenacity to keep working, but also the way the society is moving towards,
mm,
we're incorporating diversity, as we all know, and it's wonderful. It's about time. So advertising is reflecting what society wants.
hmm
And so in my niche, in my little slice of pie, I represent the older generation, the classic look, people 50 and older, over, which in my mother's day, and when she modeled, there was no such area. There wasn't a division for 50s and older models. So
So,
it's a sign of the times, and I think that's good.
yes.
And that's another reason that I've been able to continue working so long.
Okay, Roxanne. So one of the things as I talk about is, real talk. And when I look at you, because I get this as well, when I look at you,
What do you see?
I don't see 50. Like, if what people would categorize as older is because of the hair color,
Right,
right?
right.
So the thing about that is that if you were to change your hair color, I wouldn't say like, oh yeah, Roxanne is 50 years old. So what's the story behind your hair color? Like
What's
when
this?
did it yeah, like when did it change for you? Was it later, the typical time frame of what somebody might think is an older age to have
I think I
gray
was
hair?
pretty young. I was 27 and it started to go gray at the temples, and I freaked out and I started to pluck them because I thought, oh my God, my career's going to be over. I can't show that.
Uh,
And then it got too much to pluck. So I started to dye it. And so I dyed it all through my 30s. And
hmm.
then my hair got in such bad condition. I thought, I'm going to forfeit my career and I'm just going to chop my hair off and I'm going to let it grow in because it's just a waste of time and energy and it's toxic. I mean, you can have hennas and natural dyes and things that aren't toxic. Back then. It was a different time. So this is like 25 years ago we're talking. So I decided to cut it off, go natural, be who I am, and then that just actually catapulted me into a whole other niche. And I'm so glad I did it, to be
It,
authentic.
it's
Mhm.
interesting because the other card they came out, even though they're playing poker, but
Yes.
what it says at the bottom is that an unwise choice. And I feel as though that in your modeling career, somebody probably told you, no, Roxanne, that's not wise in order to let your hair go its natural color. Because the other things it says, there's a better way that will make you happier. Avoid people who lack integrity or who have questionable motives. And so it became, this is who I am. I'm going to have the integrity to live my life, the hair color that is. And that's definitely one thing we talk about, the health
Yes.
of that, because that's such a thing as an African American woman, female, that one of the things that we would normally get growing up very young are what we call perms,
Oh
in
gosh,
order
yes.
to make our hair straight.
Uh-huh.
And
Uh-huh.
you do all of that, and it's like,
Wow.
now studies have shown, if you look at the skull, you can tell if it's an African American female, because they're like, there's like these different indentures on the skull. But the thing is it's a choice, right?
Always.
It's no judgment. If you have a perm, go for it. If
Right.
that's what you want to do, have at
Right.
it. Absolutely. If you don't, but it's such a big, deal about, our hair, our styles, and how we navigate that. So it sounds
Yes.
like you took it and owned it.
Well, there are many women that come to me and they're afraid to go gray because they think that their husband won't like them, their friends will shun them, their family will reject them, they'll lose their job. So there's a lot of fear
Mm,
around changing their identity,
mhm,
and yet they want to, but they're afraid. And
hmm,
and the women that actually bite the bullet and go for it are inspiration to the other women that are in that fearful spot. It's just, everything you want is on the other side of fear.
yes.
It just stops us. It stymies us from what we really want. And when you look fear in the face, it kind of diminishes and gets smaller. And it stops
Hmm,
ruling you. And then you're
yes.
actually in a stronger, more empowered place.
Yes. So you
Mhm.
said that when women come to you, so do you coach women on this?
I do. I do. I had a coaching school for 10 years where I was helping teenage girls build their self esteem through modeling. And I accepted everybody, no matter how
Mm-hmm.
they looked. And I would teach them skills that they could use in their life, even if they never became a professional model. And it was so successful, the mothers started to ask me to
Mm,
coach
yeah.
them.
The leader and
Leader.
and the ladies around the table. Yes.
Oh, I love it.
Yes.
Well,
Hmm.
I just graduated from Chopra. uh, teaching
Uh-huh.
certification program. So now I have that on top of the 10 years that I did coaching. And now I'm not teaching the teenage girls, I'm teaching women. I feel that we need to bring balance back into the world,
Mhm.
and women need to step it up and feel the divine source that they come from and be empowered by who they are and embrace their natural gifts. And I love coaching women.
Right into the whole purpose from the education to the leader. Yes, doing
Mhm.
that. Love it. And notice the sunshine that they're looking
Oh,
towards.
yes.
Going
The dawn.
yes, the dawn, going back to Roxanne and her purpose. Absolutely.
Mhm,
So tell me a little about how there is a woman
mhm,
and she is going slightly gray.
mhm.
And she comes to you and she's like, yeah, Roxanne, uh, like, I know my husband is not going for this. How am I supposed to have that conversation with him? How do you encourage her?
Yes, in a way, it's a tough one, right? Because it's your partner and you love your partner, and
Mm-hmm.
partners value truth and
Mm-hmm.
honesty. And if this woman is fearful that her husband will give her a negative reaction, that's something worth talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It goes deeper than just the hair color. I've actually had men come up to me and say, "Oh, I wish my wife would go gray, but I don't dare tell her because
Mm.
she's so attached to her, 3 her hair appointment every 3 weeks, and she thinks she looks better." They actually come up and tell me that. I've had more than one tell me that. Yeah.
So it's
So they might
interesting.
be surprised if they tell their husbands. They might get a good reaction.
It's interesting because when you're talking about your purpose and the leader, they were the women. But like I said, your first two cards that showed up were men,
Yes, I noticed that.
right? Were the men,
Yes.
and based off of what I um, was connected to that. Have you ever considered doing a workshop, webinar, or something of the sort to
Mm.
where you're having that conversation to men
Never. I've
and
never
have
considered that. Yeah, this is interesting. Like, why not?
because people come to you
Yeah,
because it's not only just the women because I think you got that down, right?
right.
But there's also something to be said because I got to chill. Like I was at a workshop recently at the Essence Festival, and it was a room full of women, and this man was talking about, they were talking about like female orders and stuff like that. And he's like, well, how do I have this conversation in a gentle way of just wanting to let her know without, kind of getting my head bit off, right? And so, for him to ask the question in the room full of women, but that is one of the things is that where is their space, who can they also go to in order to have this conversation? And it's connecting back to why did I look up your name, because I don't look up everybody's, but the fact of the wife, the Alexander the Great, and being able to connect and talk and having that wisdom of saying something of that. And with you having that role of being a wife and you understand how to talk to the women,
Mhm.
I'm getting that encouragement to explore that for you as well of, hey, doing a workshop or webinar or something like that, because they're coming to you and they see you like that because they see your confidence, they see your leadership on how to have that conversation. They're like, well, how do I have
Thank
that?
you.
How do I say that to my wife? How do I get her to just like, just let her know?
Mhm.
So just some guidance and encouragement, maybe exploring that as well of like, hey
Uh,
fellas,
no, I
this
like
is
that idea. That's opened me up to um, a whole new category, a whole new demographic, and it actually does go back to the woman, doesn't it?
it
Mhm,
does.
mhm.
Hmm.
Very nice, very
It
nice.
does,
Thank you.
because it's like the having that conversation with him, and then she doesn't really know what to say, like, but he can sense it, which goes to that whole energy and that feeling connection. Like, I know she wants to let this go, but she thinks that there's something, wrong with her or
Right,
doing or not. We're just not going to talk about it,
that
right?
happens too. Mhm,
A lot of times, and
mhm.
so I think as we're thinking about as you transitioned before that there's, and like I said, you got leader and purpose, but like I said, your first two cards were men, and I was just like, interesting, okay, that, And the fact that the very first part where we was talking about the unwise
Yes.
choices of how do I make this wise choice? How do I help her to be more of herself, to be this leader that she is? So, um,
So it's actually empowering men to empower women.
yes, yes,
Hmm.
very much so. And like
Yes.
I said, the fact that they're already asking you
Yeah.
is just, I mean, I'm saying continue to do that in that
Very good.
area
Very good.
for
Thank you.
sure. You're so welcome. So when you're thinking about, the coaching and your life, what would you say has been some of the, because going back to wise advice, guidance that you have received in your life?
To relax more, to relax. I've
Hmm.
received that in my personal life and in the photo studio. From a professional point of view, pictures of a model that is a relaxed model is a better photo.
Hmm.
And in a personal life, it just is a different vibe and it affects everybody around you, and everyone becomes relaxed. And
Hmm. Relax
uh,
and calming. Uh-huh.
perfect.
Yes,
I think
acceptance
it's
of that.
really good advice no matter what age or what you do, because we can all get revved up and busy, and before you know it, we're just disconnected. And when you relax, there's something about becoming calm, like that card, and centered. And
Hmm.
and I find that from my meditation, which I do daily, that centers me. It brings me back to my true essence, and it calms the mind down,
Hmm.
which can get very active. And before you know it, your mind is leading you. And
Uh,
it's so important to let your heart lead you. And it's hard to hear your heart when your mind is always busy.
okay. So you know what this card says?
What?
It says, true statement talks about everyone deserves my love. I open my heart to
Yes.
heal and release. I open myself to the peace of divine love and grace.
There we
So
go.
there,
That's it.
those are words. It's confirmation of, yeah, that um, resonated with you. And so I'm shuffling right now as you talk about your modeling career and going back to that. Um, what wisdom would you give for someone who's interested in going into that field?
Hmm. Hmm. Let's see. So many variables. Let's see. Generally, um,
Hmm.
yeah, be true to who you are and not try to be who you think they want you to be, because they're always looking for some unique person. And we're all unique, but we kind of forget that, and we try to be like somebody else who's famous, or think that this part of me is wrong and I have to change it. And it's actually the part that makes you unique and special, and that's what they're looking for. Someone who is special and unique and unlike anybody else.
Yes,
Hmm.
loving that. Because usually when I read this one particular card, I start with the trigger statement, and it didn't have me to do that. I started with the true statement.
Oh,
The trigger statement of this card says, I cannot trust anyone. And it talks about the theme is acceptance. And so that is pretty much still falling in line with the guidance because and the bottom part was yours. And then the top part is what you're kind of giving is that the trusting and the calming and knowing who you are and loving yourself
mhm.
and accepting the
Yes.
uniqueness
Yes.
to that as well. So theirs is one thing because I have been waiting to use this deck for the longest, right? And this deck is a fashion oracle deck. As I said, yes, okay. And
I
because
didn't
I
even
said,
know that kind of deck existed.
yes, it does, honey. Yes. And so I was like, okay. And so, hmm,
I'll have to get one.
interesting because girl, you just got three cards that flipped over. Right away. So the very first one is Susan Meeks, and it's interesting because the it talks about attitude, style, and inspiration, and it says for Susie Minks, it says fashion is a statement of intent. A pompadour coif is a signature. Find one of your own. Goes right into what you were just saying, the guidance of having someone. Like, what is your little niche? You
Yes.
found yours with the gray
Yes.
hair. They want
Yes.
uniqueness. It says, don't wait for a rainy day to wear your favorite clothes. Like,
Right.
go forth
Oh my
and
gosh, I
do that.
blogged about that. Yes,
Did you?
yes, yes. It's so true. What are we waiting for? Wear your
Well,
favorite pieces.
well, there it is. I'm like, okay, so and then you got, which is so interesting,
Hmm.
Richard Avedon.
Hmm.
But what
Yes.
stands out to me about this
Yes.
is the gray elephants
How come? Why does that stand out to you?
because of the color of the gray. Of like in this particular image, it's like the gray is being embraced. Notice the elephant is embraced the woman in his trunk. And it was like that
Oh,
reminded
yes.
me of how you embraced, the grayness. Like you are still powerful. Like, okay, you're gray. It's still powerful. It's still beautiful. And this whole woman is entrenched in that. And it says, if in doubt, add elephants. Dress for your cover girl moment. Capture life on camera, but be sure to live it. Again, same message as you were talking about before. Wear your outfit, wear your whole concept. And the fact that it says, okay, we said when it talks about add the elephants, adding
Yes.
that gray is
Yeah.
connecting to the whole we were talking about before about encouraging, because again, it's a man up front and how he can have that conversation. Like, girl, just embrace yourself. Add that, let that gray come through, add it to
Right.
your life. All is
And the elephant is strength. The elephant represents power, strength.
indeed it does. Love that. And then finally, oh, this is so fun. I love how
Yes.
Emmanuel works. So it's Vidal Sassoon,
Uh-huh.
right? And notice the whole clippers and notice the whole hair. And it literally says, sculpt a new attitude by cutting a new crown. Always make an effort. A haircut can change your life. So the whole attitude, effect of just hair is just, it can change your whole life.
And
Like,
you're gonna love this. On top of all of what we're doing, which is remarkable,
yes,
I am finishing up my memoir, and
yes,
in my memoir, I have a story about working with Vidal Sassoon
of course
live.
you do,
I know,
Roxanne. Of
live on
course.
TV. He cut my hair live on TV. He sculpted a new me. Yeah, that's tremendous, isn't it?
Wow,
Yeah,
Roxanne.
wow.
Wow, yeah, that's
Thank you, Vidal.
and and there it is, right? So I love that. So
There's
for
so many
those,
layers to this. Wow.
indeed, it is because, like I said, just how that all plays out and just how it comes into the whole conversation. Definitely, hope you have been encouraged, as I say, to live smart and ascend to that new level of success from your work or your life, and that you go out there and spread your sunshine and your light, and helping those women and the men to have a new dawn in their life. So thank
Beautiful.
so
Thank
for
you.
that, because like I said, for those that watch this and they're like, yes, I need to connect with Roxanne because I need to have that conversation with her as well. How can they reach you?
On my website, it's roxmod.me, like Roxanne Modeling. So it's
Okay.
ROXMOD.me. And unfortunately, my Facebook and Instagram was hacked. So
Mm,
I'm in the process of trying to get that back. But 145,000 followers. I need to get back real soon so I can let them know I'm okay and help them. But at this point, my website is the way to reach me.
indeed it is. And so all will be well. And then we are claiming that all those fake cords will be cut and disconnected, and the real authentic you will come back and shine for sure. Thank you
Thank
so much
you.
for connecting with me today, Roxanne. And thank you for those that have joined us live. And it looks like I'm going to go here. Um, we had Melissa Jackson had joined us, and she said fear is a personal feeling.
Mm.
So, indeed. So, thank you
Yes.
so much for connecting with us as well,
Yes.
live, Melissa, and bringing your energy to that. And until we meet again next week, I'm Felicia, and this has been an all intuitive conversation.
Thank you.